Moments That Matter is brought to you by Binkley Ross Family of Funeral Homes, First Southern Bank, and by the Insurance Alliance.
Welcome to the Voyage Senior Living podcast, Moments That Matter. I'm your host, Melise Oakley, and today we're diving into some meaningful conversations about aging, caregiving, and the journey we take in supporting our loved ones. At the Voyage, we believe in the importance of dignity, connection, and community, and we're so glad you're here with us. My guests are Courtney and Jessie. So why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Courtney Thomas, and I am the Regional Neurology Manager for Deaconess Illinois.
And I'm Jessie Henson. I am the Illinois Regional Neuro Coordinator.
Well, you know how excited I get about all this. With your jobs and the exciting things that are happening with Alzheimer's and dementia testing, can you give us a little snippet of what is going on in the world of this?
So there's a lot happening around caring for patients in the Alzheimer's and dementia population right now. So specifically in Deaconess, Illinois, we're focusing on awareness. Number one, trying to spread awareness of what's out there and available for testing and treatment. So at our Union County location, we offer PET scans to test for amyloid plaques that cause Alzheimer's. And then also at the same location, we offer the infusion treatments that patients can receive if they're eligible. We also offer the follow-up MRI study, so it's kind of a one-stop for everything to make it more convenient for our patients and keep everything close in one location.
That's amazing. I don't think people realize how blessed we are to have something like that. Because where is the closest from here? Do you know?
So there are places that offer the infusions in Southern Illinois, but that's what they primarily offer, their outpatient infusion centers, so you don't get the imaging along with it. So you may have to do your imaging somewhere else and then drive to get your infusion. I would say that places that offer both are going to be a couple-hour drive, either to Evansville or St. Louis area.
And a lot of people don't even know that this is available.
Right.
Yep.
And that's what's so cool about it. So why is early testing, especially in the rural areas, so important, do you think?
I think mainly it's because it's so hard for rural patients to have access to care in general. So they have a lot of chronic conditions. They have a lot of things that may not be treated well. And so maybe when they go to the doctor, Alzheimer's and dementia is not something that's really talked about. They're talking about their blood pressure, their diabetes. But when we're talking about quality of life, this is something that's super impactful. So the earlier that we can, test these patients or have them, their family members notice a difficulty with either their memory or their function, the sooner that we can start the testing process and start to slow down the Alzheimer's process with the medication treatments.
I have shared with you all that my family has been stricken with this disease. And it's so exciting to me. And then with the Voyage Senior Living, we have a memory unit. And just to see that there is all these things that are coming out and the testing. So what makes this testing so unique?
I think that prior to our PET testing, really the only way to diagnose, confirm, was by doing a lumbar puncture. So that's pretty traumatic for a patient,
invasive.
Especially for a patient who may not understand what's happening to them, and we're kind of forcing the situation onto them. So this is a much gentler approach and overall helps, lessen the trauma that goes along with the diagnosis and then leads into a smoother treatment process for them.
Like I said, with someone that has had it in their family, it's just really scary to know that it could be in the realms of your health. Break down how the testing works
the first thing is either the patient notices a decline, family members notice a decline, and then just being advocates for that with the PCP is really where it starts. So going to your primary care, voicing those concerns, or family members, advocating for their loved ones that it's a concern. And the first big step is getting to a neurologist for the actual evaluations. So the initial steps really are just like our basic cognitive assessments, like your MOCA, mini mental exam, which just, it's all in the office. It's not, it's low key. It's not, a big production. Family
Local.
members.
So you don't have to go many miles.
Exactly. Family members are there with you. So it's not, it's not traumatizing. And then based on what those results show, then we start talking about imaging. So basic MRI of the brain, making sure everything's stable there, and then our PET scan.
So what can families expect during this? Because I know sometimes the family's just as nervous as the individuals that have the disease.
Yeah.
So what can they expect with this?
I think they can expect a pretty smooth process, in honesty. Because of staying local, the travel is not a worry. We're not worried about traveling 2 hours to get this done. It's not a 3-hour appointment. It may be 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And then our neurologists are all very good about taking the time with the patient and the family right from the beginning, discussing what all of the options are. That way, it doesn't come as a surprise, after they do all this testing, that all of a sudden I am a candidate for treatment or I'm not a candidate for treatment. They know what to expect and aren't blindsided by things.
All of our local neurologists work really well with the team at Union County to coordinate the care, make sure that's all very smooth, that both sides and the patient and their family know what's happening, what to expect, like you said. So it's not like you see your neurologist and then you're like, okay, well, they said maybe I'll go to Union County for this test, and then what do I do? It's coordinated throughout the whole process. So they work, all of the neurologists, the local neurologist office work very closely with the Union County team to make sure that it's
Seamless.
smooth and seamless.
Yes, and that right there, because I think the anxiety of it and feeling that is sometimes, like I said, it's harder on the family than it is actually the patient,
Right.
Especially in the later stages. How long did the duration of the process, you said, of the testing?
It kind of just depends on the schedule and the availability. So probably a few weeks to get in for that initial PET scan.
Okay.
And then once those results are back, the patient would have another appointment with their neurologist to discuss their options and the plan moving forward. And then if they're a candidate for an infusion, they start that path and that process.
The information that's gathered during this screening, what can they expect with the appointment?
So based on just their neuro exam wise, the basic neuro exam, and then all of the cognitive assessments, it kind of, gives you a number, so to speak, a graded number on what level of cognitive decline you're at versus your functional decline. So there's a little bit, of a difference there between if this is just a memory thing or if it's really impacting your daily life. So that is something that's definitely expressed during the appointments. And then once we have more definitive of, the MRI results, PET scan results, the neurologists try to make it very clear what those, what amyloid means for the patient and what that indicates for them, as well as any other, abnormalities we would see on an MRI that could be causing it. Or even if it's not that and the patient comes in and they have a vitamin deficiency or a thyroid problem, and we can actually reverse those causes and see an improvement in the patient. And then the neurology team is very good with working with the primary care to, close that gap, that we can actually help fix this, not just, delay the progression of dementia.
So what is the amyloid that you're talking about? What exactly is that, if someone that doesn't know?
So abnormal plaques in the brain that can then lead to Alzheimer's and dementia. I won't get into the nitty gritty of it because they won't, but just knowing that it's, an abnormal plaque, it shouldn't be there. And that's something the PET scan is going to show us either is there or is not there, which then helps lead us down the right path of treatment potential for the patient.
I have heard now more and more that are younger individuals that are getting this test, someone that has it in their family, what is your take on that?
I think it's important to be proactive with your healthcare. So, like for you, example, you have a strong family history. If you were to notice, or your family were to notice, that you're having some type of memory issues, or your normal everyday life function is changing in some way, then it's never going to hurt to bring it up to your doctor and just say, I'm concerned, I have this family history, I've noticed I'm being more forgetful, or I'm not functioning how I normally do. And just to start the process with your primary care doctor, it's important to be very vigilant about your health. So I don't think it ever hurts to just have the conversation.
Right.
Yeah, that's good, because I actually did go to Dr. Hornick, and because I was very concerned just because of the family history and so forth. Tell me what the critical role of the primary care for early detection.
So the primary care provider is like the gatekeeper for all of the care of the patient. So generally, they're the first stop any patient's going to go to when they notice a change, or loved ones notice a change in the patient. So they're really our first heavy hitter in detecting, Alzheimer's, dementia, any, of the first signs of any of that decline. So we rely really heavily on them to help us, seek out, help us find these patients to get them treated if possible. So really their primary role with us is to help get the patients to us. So whether or not they want to order any brain imaging, of course, is up to them just to get the ball rolling with things. But getting your patient to neurology quickly, not just brushing it off like, oh, you're 70, you're getting old, it happens. Never having that attitude. This is new, this is different. It's scary for the patient, scary for the family. Getting them to neurology quickly so we can either reassure the patient or help them down the right path for treatment.
My father, we felt like as a family, we saw the signs. And unfortunately, his primary care did not see that, because they like to perform. And sometimes they're performing. Yeah. And so, but be the patient's advocate.
For sure.
Definitely. Yes.
Because you as their family member are seeing them every day, and the primary care provider is seeing them once every 6 months, or,
and
snippets.
Time of day can be,
time of day
issue. So, yes.
I always tell people they need to be maybe later in the day, if, so that they can see that when you start getting tired, and the ones that have the Alzheimer's, you can really, it's more.
It just comes out more like later in the day,
it
seems.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they get tired. They've been, if they've been active or doing things during the day, then it seems like you can notice that progression a little bit more towards the end of the day or at night.
There's over 7 million people that have Alzheimer's, and it is going to triple, they say, in the next years. So this is even more important for us to have this.
Yes.
To get someone into your office, what kind of advice would you say to a family?
I would just say advocate, speak loud. Don't let anyone tell you that it's nothing, that your worries aren't justified. Be there for your loved one, because at the end of the day, it's you and them, so you gotta do what's right for them.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're concerned and you're talking to your primary care provider or your loved one's primary care provider, say, I'm worried about this. Could you refer us to a neurologist?
Okay.
Maybe asking the question will highlight it a little bit more for them, or make it a little less easy for them to say, well, maybe let's watch it and see what happens. If you're asking the question, that's showing that you really are very concerned and you want to do something about it. So hopefully that would get them on the path in the right direction.
Well, our time is already up. So I would love for you all to come back and tell us about more. Yeah. We appreciate you all because you guys are in the trenches, and we appreciate that you're giving this service, because people don't realize how important this is for individuals that do have this disease. So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thank you for spending this time with us. No matter where you are on your journey of caregiving or aging, remember that there's support and community around you, and there's still joy to be found ahead. From all of us at the Voyage Senior Living, we appreciate you watching and listening. We hope you find peace, purpose, and connection in the days to come. Until next time, take care and cherish the moments that truly matter.
Moments That Matter is brought to you by Binkley Ross Family of Funeral Homes. Locally owned and operated. Binkley Ross Funeral Home, Blue Funeral Home, Mitchell Hughes Funeral Home. Call 618-997-7771 or go to binkleyross.com. First Southern Bank. Bank with people you know, who know and love Southern Illinois. Community banking at its best. Find us at firstsouthernbank.net. And by the Insurance Alliance, helping families feel secure today and prepared for tomorrow. Learn more at theinsurancealliance.com or call 618-532-2277.